A year ago, Alexander and I organized another seminar organized by our political group, which dealt with the important topic of freedom of expression and self-censorship in the EU. And we had an interesting panel, as I believe we do today, which included Julian Assange of Wikileaks, at a time when the diplomatic cables had not been published yet, and at the time where not as many people were aware of what Wikileaks was.
And this is quite basically why there is no control, and there is nothing that keeps these people human. And this is why I think it's a very plastic example that shows why it is so important that in all the systems we have, even if these systems partly use secrecy, it is so important that there is the potential for every secret to be betrayed by somebody, to be brought to light, because it keeps us all honest, at least on a very fundamental level, I think.
WikiLeaks influenced traditional journalism, but traditional journalism influenced WikiLeaks in the same way, because they learned that their initial principle of publishing whatever information that they're getting, whatever document they're getting as it is, it does not really work for several reasons. One probably minor reason was from the side of a platform like WikiLeaks, is that many of their stories, which were really small scoops, were not really didn't have a big impact because there was no press coverage, or the press ignored it, or they didn't even know about it. So you need basically the press as a kind of megaphone for this kind of information.
We will have to continue to balance the public interest and information that is legitimately in a private sphere, and also the privacy of citizens, which I think are thin lines sometimes. And we each have responsibilities as parliamentarians, the media, citizens, civil society, in being a part of these checks and balances.
I have had a lot of interesting discussions about where is the appropriate line between what is confidential and what is open. And this has been debated for many, many years in different contexts. But WikiLeaks, I think, as you've talked about already today, brings into very sharp focus that debate. And on the extremes, you have people who believe that all diplomacy should be done in plain view so that the public can have total transparency. I think that's a ridiculous point of view, quite frankly. If you look at many of the diplomatic achievements that have taken place in the past, whether it's the Treaty of Versailles or the Dayton Peace Accords, none of this would have been possible if the negotiations were done in full public view.
One has to understand that whatever we may think about transparency and all the good thing about it, sometimes the kind of information we gather, the kind of news that we are able to send to our headquarters are relying on a relation of trust and confidence that we have to try to keep as much secure as possible.
There is now a debate that recognizes that there is a legitimate conflict of interests between the legitimate interest in transparency, as you said, as a citizen, as a consumer, as a human being, you want transparency. But there's, on the other hand, also a legitimate interest in confidentiality, even secrecy, on the part of the governments that we have elected to negotiate certain things on our behalf. There is a democratic contest about where the line should be between these two interests.